Hi, everyone. Troy Sage here. And on this episode of Real Estate Talk, we're going to discuss the market of 2021 and what to expect in real estate for 2022. Stay tuned. Hi, everyone. Troy Sage here on Real Estate Talk. And I want to thank you for listening to our podcast and thank you for following us on social media and watching our YouTube videos. This episode, January 9th, 2022, we are going to discuss the market in 2021 and what to expect in real estate 2022. So briefly, let's discuss what happened in 2021. For those of you that weren't involved in real estate, understand that 2021, we saw record skyrocketing prices, high equity for homeowners, record low interest rates, and a true supply and demand issue. Added to the supply and demand issue, we also saw record-breaking increases in rents, 7 to 12% increase in rents nationally. So what did that do? That caused a lot of renters, and added to that, first-time home buyers that have never purchased a home to get into the real estate market. This frenzy with the low interest rates and increase of rental rates caused this massive imbalance, or I should say was one factor in causing what we have right now is a massive imbalance in supply and demand. So in 2021, what we saw in certain markets, or on an average in the country, is double-digit increase in equity. So what does that mean? That means if a homeowner purchased a home in January of 2021, by the end of the year, on average, they had 10 to 12% equity. That is historic. That has not happened in many years, if ever. It has just never happened. There's such a demand for housing and such low supply, and the interest rates are so low, it is causing the prices to inflate and increase. So homeowners are absolutely 110% cashing in. What is added to the market in 2021 for the low supply is that builders and the pandemic has slowed the entire process down of building properties. Not only do we have an issue with supply for the materials themselves, but we have less labor force building homes. And what's also important that a lot of people have not spoken of is the fact that there's only so many number of inspectors per city and per county to inspect these properties as they're being built, to then eventually give what's called a certificate of occupancy. These inspectors are absolutely inundated, and there's only so many hours in a day. So when you add the fact that there's low supplies to actually build the properties, there's low workforce actually building properties, and these inspectors are inundated, it slows the process way down. For example, in 2021, we saw an average of 8 to 10 months from the time an individual or a family purchased a home from new construction or from a builder, 8 to 10 months before they actually got keys to the property. Well, what did this do to our market? What this did was, if those particular buyers actually owned a home, they were not selling their property until they were 3 to 4 months away from getting keys, which kept our supply very low in the market in 2021. Some people that were purchasing new construction had to sell their home first. Then they would go under contract with a builder on new construction, and they would have to wait 8 to 10 months. So what did they wind up doing is some moved in with family members, but most across the country had to rent properties on an interim basis, 8 months, 6 months, or a full year lease. All of these, when you add this all together, it just creates this massive supply and demand imbalance, and it has allowed the landlords to increase rents due to their supply and demand imbalance. So the market in 2021 was absolutely insane. The demand was so high, real estate agents were actually seeing multiple offers in excess of 50 offers per home within 3 to 5 days of listing the property on the market. Some were seeing offers before the home actually hit the market. So they would get the property in the multiple listing service, start marketing the property, and people would line up to see the property. And if you haven't seen that, there are news clips showing people lining up in line to get into a house to actually see if they like it and then write an offer. So this is a frenzy we haven't seen in a long time, if ever. People truly lining up to go into an open house, people lining up at new construction to get on a list to hopefully be in a lottery or to actually bid on a plot of land to have a builder build their home. So this is very different, very strange, and very fast paced. So when you add the low interest rates, historically low interest rates, to the fact that builders cannot help in the supply and demand issue that we have, we now have the resale homes increasing in price because of so much demand. We have such low interest rates that more people are qualifying for a home loan than what have been able to qualify in decades. When interest rates start falling, down to 2%, 2.5%, almost anyone can qualify to buy a home. You add the factor that rents are going up. We now have renters getting into the market, realizing that they can purchase a home, build equity, get into the real estate game per se, and pay less or equal to what they would be paying a landlord to rent every month. So if you're a renter and you're thinking of purchasing, or you're seeing these rent increases, now is a really good time to see if you qualify to actually purchase a home. So let's look forward to 2022 this year. What are we expecting the real estate market to do? Well, I don't have a crystal ball, but I will tell you that there are rules and regulations and laws in place to protect the general public and the banks and everyone involved in the real estate sector from having it collapse like it did in late 2007, early 2008. So I've heard it once, if I've heard it a million times from investors and other people that I work with, that, hey, the sky's going to fall, the sky's going to fall. And they said that all during 2020, and they said it during 2021. And they were absolutely 110% incorrect. Supply and demand is keeping the market from falling. Plus, the rules and regulations in place in regards to lending have been changed so much since 2006 and 7 that I just don't see the market falling. The sky is not going to fall, and we're not going to see any massive real estate decrease in value. So what are we predicting? We are predicting the same or similar market that what we had in 2021, with a few exceptions. We are expecting the Feds to increase interest rates. As the Feds increase interest rates to the banks and the lending institutions, those institutions then pass that actual cost on to the general public. So when you see that the Feds have changed rates, it doesn't affect you as a consumer that minute, but it will affect you eventually, because those rates are what the banks are borrowing money at, and banks are in the business to make money. So if they're borrowing at 1%, interest rates are going to be roughly 2 to 2.5%. As the Feds increase the rates, your home loan rates will increase also. What will that do to the market? Well, number one, what it will do is it will take some of the buyers that are barely qualifying at these low interest rates, it will take them out of the buying power, because their debt to income ratios probably won't line up. I'm not saying for all, but for a lot. So those of you that right now are just barely qualifying to purchase a home, it's a great time to buy a home, because if interest rates go up, your debt to income ratio will adjust and you may not qualify. What does this mean for sellers? Well, since sellers are so darn used to multiple offers and increased equity and this buying frenzy from buyers, I see this slowing down towards the end of the second quarter of 2022. I'm not saying we're not going to see increased equity, because I truly believe we're going to continue on the path of increased equity. I believe we're going to continue on the path of multiple offers, but maybe not 50 at a time or 25 at a time. There's a strategic way to list your property to get multiple offers and to be able to get the home to appraise at that higher price. If you'd like information on that, reach out to me and I'll send you more information on how to stage your home, how to price it right for the market and get it sold right away with the highest price possible. And speaking of pricing your home in 2022, Because builders are still so far behind, it's going to add to the push. It's going to add to the increased equity for resale properties. So I don't predict we're going to see anything change in the first half of 2022. But I do predict that if interest rates creep up, which they will, and rental rates continue to creep up, which they are, and they expect those to hit double-digit increase in rents, we're going to see more demand for people to buy homes. And there just simply is not enough supply. So through the first half of 2022, I expect the market to stay the same as it is right now. A buyer's frenzy and sellers getting above list price and continued equity for everyone. I do predict by the second half of this year, interest rates as they increase, we're going to lose anywhere from 5 to 15% of the buyers, maybe up to 20% of the buyers in the market right now, which still won't affect our supply and demand issue, but it will slow things down. So what is this going to look like, or what is it going to feel like? Our market, if you compare this to driving a car, has been in the fast lane driving 100 miles an hour for the past 2 years. It is just, you are just flying in your car. So I want you to think about this. You're driving 100 miles an hour on a freeway and there's no one around you. And now there's more people on that freeway driving 100 miles an hour. And all of a sudden everyone sees a police officer, and what does everyone do? They start to slow down. They don't slam on their brakes, but they slow down because the flow of traffic is still going fast. I predict this. We're going 100 miles an hour today. I predict by the end of the first quarter, we're going to slow down to about 95 miles an hour. So it's going to feel like the market is dipping, which it is not. And by the end of the first half, we're going to be back to about 80 mile an hour speed limit here, if you want to use the metaphor of driving your car. So it is not time to panic for sellers. It is time to strategically figure out what you're going to do when you sell your home, if you're buying new construction or if you're downsizing or whatever your plan is. And it's really a good time for buyers to consider, is it time to get into the market? Is it truly time to get into the market? My opinion is this: if you qualify for a loan, why wouldn't you get into the real estate market? Why wouldn't you buy and have your monthly payments be paying on your investment as opposed to paying a landlord, making that landlord money? Not picking on landlords at all, because I work with a lot of investors and I'm a landlord myself. But it's beautiful seeing the value of the rental property increase, and I'm increasing rents every time a lease expires or comes to an end. It's a win-win situation for me. So if you're a buyer and you're thinking about buying a home, now's the time to really consider it before the interest rates increase. All indicators are interest rates are going to increase at the latest the second half of 2022. So now's the time to get all your ducks in line and get ready to qualify and actually purchase a property. So that's my predictions for 2022. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them on social media or on YouTube. I would ask that you also please subscribe. If you'd like to ask me anything directly, feel free to reach out to me. You can email me, troy@troysage.com. I will answer your question as quickly as possible. And if you would like to be on this show, you want to debate with me, we want to talk about your real estate services, I'd love to have you on our show. Shoot me an email, troy@troysage.com. Again, this is Real Estate Talk. My name is Troy Sage. Thank you for watching this. Please subscribe. Please spread the word around for me. And as always, my friends, make it a great day.